It's important to not let what happened to you in the past define who you become in the future. The pain that you've experienced, it's up to you to wield that and turn that into power and take control of your story. Turning a negative situation into a positive one. Now, I've had to do this, had to go within and work on this, turning a negative situation into a positive one. Because about me, my story is when I was about 9, 10 years old, I was homeless. And it's even people in my life that probably don't even know this about me. I was homeless, bro, as a kid. I was in Charlotte. I was homeless. Me, my mother, and I'm trying to remember. I think my brother was born, but he was young. And yeah, it started off moving. We moved with family down there. We moved with family. End up all getting a house together. And then that ultimately didn't work out. And we ended up in a homeless shelter. I remember days, bro. I had to you had to shop at a thrift store. Salvation Army just to get a wardrobe to go to school. On my birthday, my mother had to get me a pound cake from the gas station. From the gas station, bro. That was my birthday cake. Going to school, we had to be the first kids to get picked up and the last ones to get dropped off. And they probably did that so people wouldn't make fun of us at school for living in the shelter. This was, I think, sixth grade. I had to be in, middle school, sixth grade. Staying in the shelter, bro. That was one of the low points of my life, bro. And I know it wasn't my fault. And I don't even blame my mother I don't blame my mother for that at all. Like, I love her to death. And nowadays, I'm glad that shit happened to me. Because it brings me to positivity. You have to be in the dark in order to get to the light, bro. That's how you find the light. You can't find the light you find the light in the dark. You have to go through hardships. You have to go through struggle in order to learn from that, transmute that into positivity, and spread it to the world. And then I also, with that situation, that also built me up a sense of, it also really kind of messed me up a little bit too, because it built me a sense of false positivities. Because so I went through something that was very negative, and it wanted me to be positive all the time, basically trying to run from how I truly feel about bad things that happen to me. Not even just that, just bad things in general. Like, I might put some shit, like some shit rub me the wrong way. I might put some shit to the side or just brush it off, even though it made me feel a certain type of way, and bottle up that negative feeling. And you can't do that, bro. Because what's ultimately going to happen is you keep bottling up all these negative feelings, you keep bottling up all this anxiety, you keep bottling up all this anger, and you eventually lash out in a rage. Because that's what happened to me when I was in the shelter, because I really didn't want to be there. That was not the environment. I was really feeling bad in that environment, but I took it on the chin because I knew how hard my mother was trying to get us out of that environment. And I didn't want to bear her the emotional stress that she's already going through, knowing that her family is going through this shit. So I didn't want to add on an extra layer of shit that was already going on. So I kept how I truly felt to myself. And then one day, I can't remember what happened, but one day I spazzed out. I was hitting the walls and shit. I was screaming. I said, I don't want to be here no more. I was going off. I didn't want to be there no more. I couldn't do it. I said, all right, this shit is enough. And then shortly after that, my mother, that was like basically her wake up call. Because like I said, I kept how I truly felt inside in order to spare somebody else's feelings. So she didn't know who I truly felt. My mom watches my videos. She'll probably see this. But she never knew how I truly felt. So that's when it clicked for her, like, all right, I gotta get my son the fuck out of here. But that situation, it showed me that you can't bottle up your negative feelings. You have to address the negative feelings that you have and transmute that into positive energy, transmute that into positivity, and spread that to others. That's why I do what the fuck I do now. That's why I want to help men. Link is in the description. Book a free call. But that's why I want to do what I do, because I know how I felt before, and I know who I was before. And if I can help people get through situations that they're going through right now where they're not feeling their best, if I can be that for somebody, I feel like that's my job, to be that for somebody. That's why I do the shit that I do. Because I didn't grow up with a father. But that's a whole nother video. I'm not gonna get into that. That's a whole nother video. That goes deep too. But how much time is on the video? Okay. But bottom line is, take control of your story, bro. Don't let a negative situation build up. Instead, deal with the fact of how you feel. Address how you feel. Internalize it and move the fuck on. You can't let that shit build up, because what's going to happen is you're going to get consumed by it. And now that becomes your whole identity. See, I could have let that happen to me. I could have let the bad shit that happened in my life consume me with hatred. I could have hated my mom. I could have hated a family that we had that didn't let us stay with them, which ended up happening. We ended up moving back home and staying with my grandmother. But other family, I could have hated so many people in that situation. But you have a choice. That's why it's important to have emotional intelligence, especially with yourself. Know your emotions, because you have every emotion that you have a choice. No matter who made you feel like that or what made you feel like that, you have a choice of how you deal with that shit. I could have let that shit consume me with hatred, consume me with negativity. But instead, I spazzed out and I transmuted that into positivity. And that's what you got to do, bro. That was a little backstory about myself. I got to do that more on this channel. Just actually show y'all me, like the real me and shit that actually happens to me, and be real with y'all. Because that's what this shit is all about, bro. It's about being authentic. Like, there's no edits in this video. I'm not editing out me stuttering and shit. Like, I'm human, bro. I'm fucking human. And I'm a good communicator. I know how to talk well, you know what I'm saying? But nah, bro. If you watch this video all the way through, make sure you drop a like, man. For real. Make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe if you new. Hit the link in the description. If you having trouble with anything that's going on in your life, any area in your life, if you have trouble with transmuting negativity into positivity, if you have trouble with discipline, if you feel lost, if you feel like you don't have a purpose in life, hit the link in the description. Book a free call. It is free, bro. One-on-one mentorship. And if it doesn't make sense for us to work together, the one-on-one call is free. You will at least extract some value from our conversation. Hit the link, man. And I'm out. Peace.